My, how Canada's fallen, folks. And it's only going to continue to fall much further as long as the Canadian people allow it to happen. If you care about the future of this country, not just for yourself, but for your successive offspring or successive generations, I do highly suggest that you start pivoting more towards ethics, morality, common sense, and genuine law and justice, as opposed to collectivism, top-down authoritarianism, and using government, that gigantic gun in the room, as an ultimate means to your social or economic end. Failure to do so will have major and catastrophic consequences for this country going forward. Headline out of Global News: U.S. deems Canada major money laundering country as gangs exploit weak law enforcement. It's being reported by Sam Cooper, April 2nd, 2019. The U.S. Department of State has designated Canada a major money laundering country where foreign drug trafficking gangs are exploiting weak law enforcement and soft laws. The March 2019 report, which places Canada on a short list of countries vulnerable to significant drug money laundering transactions, such as Afghanistan, the British Virgin Islands, China, Colombia, underlines a number of threats reported over the past year in global news investigations, such as laundering of fentanyl trafficking proceeds from China through British Columbia casinos, real estate, and underground banks. Foreign-generated proceeds of crime are laundered in Canada, and professional third-party money laundering is a key concern, the report states. Transnational organized crime groups and professional money launderers are key threat actors. The report says Canada is especially vulnerable to money laundering through casinos, real estate, money services, businesses, currency exchanges, wire exchanges, offshore corporations, legal funnel accounts, and bulk cash and hawala transactions, meaning international exchanges of credit and debt between criminal bankers without money actually crossing borders. The report notes weaknesses in enforcement and prosecution caused partly by Canada's privacy laws and loopholes that allow Canadian lawyers to not report suspicious transactions. According to the most recent data from 2010 to 2014, only 169 charges of money laundering led to convictions in Canada, the report says. Canada has a rigorous detection monitoring process in place, but should further enhance its enforcement and prosecutorial capabilities, the report says. When the magnitude of the identified money laundering risks are taken into account, Canada's money laundering conviction rate appears to be low. The report notes that Canadian police do not have direct access to the databases of FINTRAC, Canada's financial intelligence agency. FINTRAC collects data on suspicious transactions from entities such as banks and realtors, although realtors often do not comply with reporting laws, according to FINTRAC. But this cache of searchable information, which would help police identify suspects potentially involved in professional money laundering, can only be released in focused disclosures, and if FinTech deems it highly likely that crimes are taking place. This has led critics to accuse FINTRAC of being a good collector of unused criminal intelligence. I mean, think about it. For those of us, that's the thing. I mean, people might want to argue different points in regards to this story and this article, but at the very least, come on, think of how many laws there are that dictate and control every aspect of our social and economic lives if you're just a lowly, average taxpayer. But if you're in the corporate world or part of the connected class, they haven't figured out a way to write laws, or they just haven't bothered to even waste any time to write laws to prevent this kind of shit from happening. I wonder why that is. You really think? Apparently the government's always about using authoritarian measures or tactics and legislation to impose their will onto the masses. But for white-collar criminals, which are predominantly people of their own kind, people that are these politicians or part of the connected or ruling class, like I say, they're not going to write laws that are going to impose or restrict their access or their ability to enrich themselves at the expense of everyone else. They're never going to do that, folks, because they recognize they'd be shooting themselves in their own goddamn proverbial foot. Why Canadians don't realize this, I really don't know. But at the very least, they can't suggest today, at least, in the age of information, with people like myself and many others reporting this stuff, and even here, even someone in the established media is reporting it. So you can't claim ignorance anymore. Not in the age of information, folks. So if you're allowing this stuff to continue on and go forward, while you or all the other average Canadians are economically and socially oppressed to the point where you can barely earn enough to get through to the next month or get over that hurdle of the constant exponential increase of costs for all the products, services, and utilities you use. Like I say, if you're unwilling to stand in defense, then just, I don't know, like I say, at this point, I don't know why people just don't, why don't we just get rid of government? I mean, we know how corrupt these people are. Just Let's just go full fucking. What are you scared of? The biggest criminals among us that have all the power, they're already doing all their criminal activity. What are you worried about by shrinking or even reducing the size and scope of government? What? That just average Canadians might at least get the opportunity to do something that's pushing back against this kind of corruption? Are you scared that somebody might benefit that's not part of the connected class? Because as you see, no matter how many rules or regulations that central planners come up or put forth to impose their will, mandates, and edicts on us, this shit continues to happen time and time and time and time and time and time again. So really the only people that's being suppressed at this point by all these supposed rules that are meant to protect us are the people that have no power or no influence or sway, aka the average taxpayer. Your continued support for big government is basically a continued support for your own economic enslavement. For those of you who are ignorant to that reality, well, the onus is on you to get up to speed. You get properly educated and informed in regard to this stuff because, like I said, you're the one that's going to suffer in the end. Not just those that you'd like to see suffer, even you will. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.